Abdullah, Bahraini American. Two short questions. Could you tell us specifically what you think the United States Congress could do, or what kind of help you expect from them? I know we have many staffers here and they're taking notes, and probably they would like to hear some specific. The second question, how much you guys are involved with our embassy in Bahrain? How much they're aware and what kind of help they're providing? Thank you.
Set of recommendations. I was thinking to leave it to the end, unless you want me to read it now. And I'll leave the second part to Nabil, and I'll add to that if necessary. Taking into account the long history of relation between the US and Bahrain, acknowledging the wide strategic interest, the actual presence and sizable influence of the US in Bahrain, applauding the US commitment to democracy, human rights, and religious freedom, and non-discrimination around the world, taking into consideration that stability in Bahrain will not be secured without answering to the grievance of the individuals and the different groups of society. We appeal to the Congress and the administration and all interested actors in the US to do whatever possible to support the following recommendation. First, to ensure freedom of religious for all individuals, groups, including Shiites, and to secure their rights to freedom of association, assembly, and performance of beliefs, and the right to go and maintain their worship places. Second, to deploy an affirmative action program to ensure the fair representation of Shiites in all state institutions and public establishments. Third, introduce a law that incriminates religious and sectarian discrimination. Fourth, to reform the democratic process to ensure real legislative and oversight powers for the parliament in order to maintain checks and balances. Five, to abolish gerrymandering in the electoral process to ensure equal rights and fair representation for Shiites in the parliament and all public offices by maintaining equality through the basic rule of one man, one vote. Six, to investigate the existence of a secret plan and official network to marginalize Shia and to take the necessary steps to dilute its influence and existence. Seven, to maintain the independence of the judiciary and the executive powers, especially by reducing the representation of members of the royal family. 8, to provide statistics and information regarding the equal enjoyment of economical and social rights and equal access to public services, and to deploy related programs and provide related statistics as requested by the UN Committee on Racial Discrimination. 9, to form a National Anti-Discrimination Commission to propose plans of action and monitor its implementation. 10, to ensure transparency with regards to the fair distribution of national wealth, including public lands, and to implement a reform program. 11, to reveal all information regarding naturalization, political naturalization, and to reconsider all nationalities that have been granted on sectarian and exceptional basis. 12, introduce and pass a resolution in the House, like the one Senator Session introduced in the Senate, that is Resolution 619. 13, investigate Bahrain and hold hearings by the U.S. Commission on International Religious Freedom. 14, open direct and clear communication channel with the Bahraini government regarding human rights and religious freedom issues. Last, create a congressional delegation that will lead a fact-finding mission to Bahrain.
When it comes to the relation between us and the American embassy, that depends on the ambassador. With the existing one, I think he's more active and he's having kind of dialogue or meeting NGOs. And the former one now, we had no relation. We didn't talk to the former ambassador or his staff, or maybe at least once or twice. But the existing one is different. And you could see also how active is the ambassador, the embassy, from the report of the human rights report of the State Department and the religious freedom report. You could see the difference also between ambassador from this one to the other one. And in fact, I really admire the Human Rights Report and the Religious Freedom Report, which I consider it is one of the most detailed, comprehensive report. The only objection that we always say is this report does not have, number one, doesn't have no recommendation. Number two, those report does not have no impact on the American foreign policy. Thank you.
Whom they think are not liked and supporting the regime one way or another. I always find the embassy staff really negative towards us. We have been, I've been coming to the Washington since 2004, after which, of course, I was dismissed from my post at Mechanical Engineering Department chairman, and the embassy has took no move towards that. And we tried to meet the officer. All our attempts failed. They are not accepting to meet us.
Program. Actually, we were in Georgetown University for about 4 weeks. It was very interesting because during my stay here in Georgetown, we had a lot of political classes, and I had a lot of clashes with some of the other Arab students because they would disagree with my opinions on Arab governments. They didn't like the fact that I would speak out against Arab. It was very interesting because I remember we were at, I believe, the Senate once, where we spoke to a representative of the American administration. And I questioned him. He was talking about Iraq and how the American administration supports democracy in different countries around the world. And I asked him to explain to me then why is the American administration supporting a government like Bahrain where we have massive human rights abuses. And he dismissed my question, he never answered it. But as we were leaving the room, his assistant spoke to me and he told me, you know how...
So did you work with the embassy at all in that?
Yes, actually, I have very good relations with the U.S. Embassy in Bahrain. I remember the funny part was that in the application we had to write about a social problem in Bahrain and how to solve it. So I wrote about unemployment, and they told me that they actually had to hide the whole essay that I wrote because they wouldn't want it to be found. But we have a very close relationship with the U.S. Embassy, and I personally haven't had any problems.